call from him. And, guys, I can't believe it. We're on the final segment of this show, and I know there's 45 minutes left, but basically what we're going to do is have everybody come in. We've alluded to it a few times, and just give their thoughts on their experiences at WFUV and all of that. Now, starting off, before we get into everybody here, we have Taylor Macetta. Unfortunately, right now, she's at George Mason running a track meet. You heard her earlier on the NBA segment, but she recorded a quick, thank you experience about WFUV, so let's play that now.
Well, the moment's arrived. It's my final assignment probably at WFUV, and oh man, I don't really want to get sappy, but man, it has been just such an incredible experience from start to finish being at this station on both news and sports. I initially joined as a newsie. I took the newsroom experience class the fall of my junior year. And after doing that for a couple months, my boss comes up to me and she's like, hey, you're a student athlete. I feel like you'd be interested in doing sports. And I was like, oh, sure, why not? I'll give it a try just to get more experience. And I was terrified. I was so scared I was going to sound like an idiot on air, not have enough time to do assignments. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to do it. And I am so glad that I did, because I often say I really found I found a family at WFUV. I just feel like such an integral part of the station, and every single person I've met has just been so incredibly supportive and kind and so much fun to hang out around. And it's just so fun to just sit in the room and talk about sports. And I'm just I feel like I'm very proud of how far I've come. I feel like I've learned so much about both the sports industry outside of being an athlete, and just about myself, that I have the confidence to go on these 3-hour-long shows and just talk and connect with people. And it's just such an incredible experience from start to finish, as I said before. And I'm really, really sad to be going, and but I know that the station is in such good hands, and that it's gonna it really just has such a bright future ahead of it. And I cannot wait to see what comes next for everyone here. Shout out to the A team. Oh man, I'm gonna really miss it, but good luck with everything. And I will be back. I'll be stopping by. Maybe I'll have a track meet nearby, but for the final time, signing off, it's Taylor Macetta.
Taylor, we appreciate the kind words. You said you're glad you joined. We for sure were glad as well. So thank you so much for your contributions. And we're going to keep Keenan waiting here just a minute, because we do have one caller on the time. Very special. It's Nick DeLuca. Not a lot of people would be getting put through right now, but Nick does fit the billing right there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What's up, my man?
Not much. I just wanted to drop in for a second, just congratulate all of you guys on an incredible run. You guys have a lot to be proud of. It was an incredible year. Awesome to be able to follow everything that you guys did. So congratulations on incredible careers at WFUV, and soak in the last 40 minutes. Congrats, guys.
Thank you, Nick. We really
Thanks,
appreciate
Nick.
it.
That means a lot, and we really appreciate it.
Your guidance last year was fantastic with men's basketball. So, thank you. And Keenan, we have to keep you waiting one more time, and it's actually because my mom's on the line.
Oh well,
so
of course.
Let's hear from her on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Aren't you proud of me for staying up so late?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
That's how much I love you. This is great, honestly. I'm so proud of you. You did a fantastic job. And all of your friends, you worked so hard, really. You guys are so knowledgeable. It blows me away. I hope that you will, cherish this forever. You made us very, very proud.
Thanks,
Love
Mom.
you.
Love you, too. And I will cherish it forever. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. And thanks for calling in.
I will. All those sports channels we paid for paid off.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens after here. But, yeah, they definitely did in the moment, I'll tell you that. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it one last time.
Thanks. Love you. Bye.
Bye. So now let's finally get into it. Keenan, we apologize for keeping you waiting a few minutes, but the floor is now finally yours.
Well, thank you, boys. Before I begin, obviously the thank yous have to precede everything else I'm going to say. So big shout out to you two guys in here. I've known you for what feels like forever. Have done a very good job of keeping me involved with FUV, which I'll get into in a second, but just appreciating you guys always, asking me what I want to do, trying to make me expand my horizons. Big shout out to Alex Wools, who really dragged me back into FUV going into my junior year, because I was a part of it before the pandemic hit. I remember I was in a training group, I think with Mike.
Yes.
It's the most stacked training group of all time.
It's these three people in this room right now, Alex Foles and Danny Scott.
Yeah, so I remember the week before we got sent home, or the week of we got sent home, COVID hits. I was supposed to learn how to produce, and I didn't know how to work the board until like probably this fall, if we're being honest. But nonetheless, I digress, because what has meant the most to me about FUV sports is I feel that sometimes we get caught up in this tendency to only associate with one group of kids. You find your home at Fordham. You know, everybody says go find your home. Well, then you find your home and you tend to kind of close off from everybody else. And what I've been most appreciative of being a part of this staff and meeting all of you wonderful people, the people in the back, and then everyone who's come before me that I've gotten to know, and everyone that's going to follow us that we've gotten to know. It gave myself a new group of people at Fordham, not only to have fun with and talk about sports with, but to give my life meaning, to give me some perspective, another friendly face to see around campus. I think that's what I'm going to miss the most, besides obviously chopping it up with you boys. But again, thank you to everyone that's been a part of this journey for me. Guzman and Burley calling in. Balsamo stopped in. Michael Hernandez. Danny Scott, my freshman year roommate, who told me to do FUV back in spring of freshman year. Dan, I didn't forget. Love you, brother. Love all you guys. What a ride.
Well, Keenan, you were one of those, smiling faces that you mentioned. So thank you. That was really great. It's crazy. You and Danny, freshman year roommates, and now look at you guys.
Who would have thought?
Who would have ever thought? So before we get to the next group of people, we do have one last caller. It's Emmanuel Babari. So this is a big time get for us on WFUV Sports. What's up, E-Man? Can you hear me?
Got you guys. Happy to be here. Ryan, Mike, I asked Bobby who was on the show before I came out here, so I knew I was speaking with. But Ryan, Mike, everyone there, just wanted to call in and congratulate you guys on your run.
Thank you, E-Man.
We appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for calling in.
Of course. Yeah, it's funny. When I called in, I heard you guys talking about, getting sent home right when you were joining FUV Sports, and I think that's incredible, how you guys persevered, and you really didn't get the proper foray into it initially, but you made the most of it. And I remember, like, our pandemic year when you guys were joining the staff, and all of you people, and I know a few of those people that are there came in later after I graduated, but still it applies to them, how you stood out and still made yourself seen somehow with the constraints of the pandemic. And that's a lot to be proud of, because you got a full FUV experience and you raised the standard despite not having anything to do hands-on for a good year there. And I think that speaks volumes to who you guys are and what you're going to do after you leave Fordham. So you guys have a lot to be proud of. So I wanted to congratulate you on the run, but it's kind of with an extra emphasis on what you guys, persevered through and made the experience for yourself. So that says something.
Well, man, the reason we're able to do that is because of the guidance of you and Charlie and everybody that came before us and teaching us the standard of WFUV. So, if you think the standard was raised, I promise you it's because of the guidance that you taught us along the way.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, but it's all you guys, and, that's the way it works, right? We do the best we can to pass it down to you guys. It never feels like we completely do it, but we do the best we can. And then the next generation makes the most out of their experience, and you look to pass it on to the next guys, which you guys are doing right now, and you're doing so in an awesome way. So it only bodes well for the future of FUV Sports, and we know that it's bright. But for now, this is your guys' moment, and I'm glad you guys, from what I've heard of the show, which has been great, and from what I'm hearing just sitting here on hold, there have been great reflections, and you all have a ton to be proud of. I'm very proud of you guys.
Thanks, E-Man. Take care.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the call.
Of course. Have a good night, guys.
Yep. So we thank E-Man for the call. And now we're joined with Mike Hernandez, the producer for the first, 75% of the show. So we thank you, Mike. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, last ever show. I am someone who joined a bit late. I joined as a junior. Shout out to Wolves who got me into it. But yeah, honestly, it's very bittersweet. I after being on FUVFC for so long, I even with Bobby, we created Beyond the Visor, the motorsport podcast. And yeah, honestly, I'm just so grateful for everything here at the station, being able to beat a report for NYCFC, for the Yankees. Yeah, honestly, these have been the best 2 years of my life, definitely without a doubt. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Well, I love that you went after Keenan because you guys, being soccer guys, that meant so much to the station. It's obviously a sport that's growing rapidly in the U.S., but at FUV, it's not always been the case. So to have guys like you and Keenan riding the ship, it's been great.
Yeah, honestly, it's been, I've loved every second. Obviously, shout out to the rest of the FUVFC crew, Keenan, James, Nick, who called in. But yeah, it's definitely going to be sad, but I've loved every second of it.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for joining us, and I guess any last, thoughts?
Honestly, no. I'm just overall, actually, you know what? Shout out to Bobby, because without him, I never would have made the Motorsport podcast. So shout out to him. I'm pretty sure he's in the back. So.
A lot of shout outs coming to Bobby these final 30 minutes, I imagine. But thank you so much.
And I would like to say a lot of those, we had Keenan, we have Michael come on. Those FUVFC videos did better than any of the videos we really put out. I would say them and All In were probably our two most popular videos that we were able to put out on YouTube, and it's a credit to the hosts of both those shows and Michael and Keenan, to those hosts for those FUVFC podcasts.
100%. There was a stretch there where we were racing to get FUVFC content up because it was just blowing up and going nuclear. So we appreciate them for all their hard work. And now we're joined with a good buddy of mine. I'm very glad that he is part of the WFUV family now. In John O'Frio, what's going on?
Not much. Just taking it all in. Obviously, I've been here for 4 years. I joined my freshman year, second semester, so I was only in it for like 2 months. And I always say, like, notoriously, I was only ever one assignment. I was an engineer, which doesn't exist anymore. And then I joined beginning of senior year and have had awesome year with you guys. And as you know, you guys are all very personal friends. And I've loved every second of it. And I always will say I really wish I joined again junior year. But, I think that everyone out there should just make sure that they take advantage of the opportunities, because I really let that go by not joining again sooner.
Well, I remember, and you've said this to me before, that, and I don't know if it's still the case, the biggest mistake you made at Fordham was not staying with it or joining junior year,
I didn't want to do it during COVID, which, I mean, some people's, sorry. But yeah, my biggest regret at college is not joining second semester junior year, when I feel like I really could have hit the ground running there and then had to carry that momentum into senior year and been more involved than I was this year.
Right. And, we thank you for joining us. And I think it's a great tale because people come to FUV in all shapes and sizes, right? You have an athlete on the football team joining his senior year, a bit unconventional, but it still worked. You heard him on the air earlier, sounded great. And the strides that from that first mock to now, it's unbelievable how much better you've gotten on the air.
Yep, I loved it all, and I'm Mike Calamari.
I think I think is a funny joke there by John. I do think that what's special about FUV, and John example of that with Fordham football, and then people joining late numerous times, throughout the time I've been here at FUV, whether they're junior, whether they're senior like John. They can, help out in any way they can. They can come, they can serve their role, they can play their role, and they can help the team that is WFV do better. And I think that's what's special about FUV. We've had plenty of people here that do certain things better than do others, but they still help everyone pull, the rope in the same direction.
Right, and even another thing, like John helped, I know, me and Danny as well, a ton with football prep this year, right? Being on the team, knowing those guys in and out. A lot of the broadcasts and some of the interesting tidbits that were said come from John, telling us, Jack Lowe from Australia didn't play football until he was a teenager. Stuff like that gets unnoticed or maybe gets credited to the broadcasters does come from others that help, including John. And now we're going to shift to Tyler, who somebody that I've known since day one, living across from me freshman year, and it was always one of those people you could never believe why he wasn't in WFUV to start because of
And
his
funny
knowledge.
story about that, one of shout out Frank Stigliano. He was one of my friends freshman year, still my friend, but we were hanging out all the time in first year in South. Fast forward O'Hare, we would still hang out, and I remember coming to your room and you'd be so into the video games, like, dude, why doesn't he join FUV? And he's always like, oh yeah, he's thinking about it, and then look at you now, you're joining FUV.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Well, I wish I joined earlier, but first of all, thank you to all you guys at FUV. Love all you guys. You've made my experience here at Fordham super memorable. I want to start with Ryan. Known this kid since day one, pretty much. This kid, just a baby-faced freshman, was so passionate about sports, knew everything about every team, inside and out, Jets, Yankees, Knicks, Rangers, whatever it took. this kid was all over it, and he was so passionate about what he did. Didn't matter that he was new to Fordham, new to FUV. He was so passionate about FUV, and he would always try to convince me to join. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I was in a weird place like freshman year. And then sophomore year, obviously, COVID hit. So I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do. I joined technically, but I wasn't really on it. But because Zoom, everything. But junior year, I told myself, all right, I'm going to commit to joining FUV. And from the first mock, Ryan would give me great advice from day one. And it was wraps from there. Really, it's been a phenomenal experience. My last 2 years here, really doing FUV, doing a little bit of everything, producing sometimes on-air stuff. College Gridiron with my guy Danny Scott. It's been phenomenal. Love it. Have had a great time. Being able to cover games, covering Rangers games, covering the Big East tournament, covering the Knicks, which has been my dream since I was a kid, pretty much. Being a diehard Knicks fan, it's been absolutely phenomenal. I've loved my experience here and just countless great memories with you guys. Mike has given me so many great behind the scenes. Thanks, Danny, for that heart back there. Really appreciate it. Mike, just giving me great advice from day one since I met you sophomore year. Being really good friends with my roommate Frank, we developed a pretty solid friendship just from giving me great advice and really just making me feel comfortable here at the station. Basically, coming into this FUV, I felt like I knew a lot about sports, but I wouldn't shut up. And I feel like that's kind of still the case, but I feel like you guys have given me such great advice on just how to be a better person on air, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Thanks to our sports director, Bobby Chaffordini, back there for also being such a good mentor, and I've had a great time here. Really appreciate it, and this station's in a great spot.
Well, Tyler, one thing I'll say before we move on to Pat Amaturo is, and I've said this to you on air, off there, I don't think there's somebody at the station who's more knowledgeable overall than you when it comes to sports. So
you could give me a defensive back on every team in football, maybe.
I hope so, but thank you for that.
So we do appreciate you joining us, and you almost got me there. I know we had a little game back there, people trying to get me to cry.
Oh.
Tyler was the closest, but right now.
Really, Tyler's the closest.
Going back to the freshman year, baby-faced Ryan, that got me.
I think it's also the fact that I think every person is going to give you one step closer as we welcome Patrick Amaturo, legendary video producer at WFUV, could go down as one of the greats.
Oh, what's up, fellas? Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike.
Are they retiring your lower third at the end of the year?
I would hope so. I better be hanging up in the studio.
That's a Julia question. So I guess the floor is now yours.
I appreciate it, guys. So I just want to say you guys are two of my best friends I met at college. I really didn't know about FUV sports at all before I got here, before even my junior year. I got to know Ryan really well. He told me about it. I wasn't lost, but didn't really have something to say. I was a part of it for him, and it felt so awesome to come to this and felt so welcoming. A guy like Alex Wool's, even though I really was coming in late, he still made me feel so welcome. It made me feel like I could be a part of this. So I just want to say thank you so much to all you guys. I know we talk a lot about the alumni that come out of FUV sports, all the jobs and all that kind of stuff, but I'd say my biggest takeaway is the culture that is cultivated here, and it just feels like everyone is so welcoming, everyone's so understanding, everyone comes from different backgrounds from all over the place, and we all come together and we do this thing, and it always gets done well, but outside of it, we all enjoy being around each other. So yeah, I just really want to emphasize I felt so accepted coming into the being part of FUV sports, and yeah, I really had no desire to be in sports radio at all. I really didn't know what it was about, but it was just awesome to feel so welcomed and to become a part of it.
Well, Pat, we really appreciate that. I echo the sentiments. You're definitely one of my best friends. It's been great getting to know you in FUV sense and without it. And I don't think people know because you're not on air a lot, but you've done so much for this station. I think back to the Vince Scully show where you were supposed to go home. We were here over the summer. You delayed that to video produce that show. That was one of the most difficult assignments there have been this entire year with everything that went into it, a ton of interviews, pre-recorded stuff. We had slideshows, and you did all that, and you crushed it out of the park every step of the way. You also produced 2 of our Arizona shows back in the studio. Without you, we do not get those on the air. I know that's something the 5 of us that were in Arizona were incredibly proud of, and it's because of the work that you put in as well. So I can't thank you enough. An incredible asset as a friend and in WFUV.
Thank you guys so much.
You did a great job, and I was going to say, Ryan mentioned the Scully show. You didn't need to go back that far. You could go to 2 Super Bowl shows, 3 hours each, came in here, you produced when you didn't have to, and that went a long way. And those are just 2 moments of many more.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the nice words.
Yep. And so we thank Pat for joining us. And next up, we have Samantha Bohr coming in here. Already has cried during the show. We'll see what comes up here. But as you get set up here, what's going on?
Well, I'm probably going to cry again, but that's okay. This is going to sound really cliche, but WFUV changed my life. Literally, it changed what I want to do for a career. It changed. I, freshman year, wanted to leave Fordham so badly because I felt like I didn't have a lot of real friends. I felt like I didn't have a community, and everyone always talks about finding your people in college. And I felt like I hadn't done that until I joined WFUV. Because I just didn't feel like I had people who understood me and took me for everything I was. And I found that at WFUV. So shout out to my friends back there. You know who you are. And my friends who aren't back there, but I love you guys so much. And yeah, shout out Uncle Ron for always believing in me and my career as a sports broadcaster. And my mom, my dad, my sister. And thank you guys for welcoming me with open arms when I really only knew about hockey. And for now changing my entire career path and what I want to do. I was an actor, and now I want to do this. And shout out Bobby for also accepting me and for giving me so many opportunities. And some of the best memories of my entire life have taken place in this studio and with WFUV. So thank you guys so much for making me not want to leave Fordham and for giving me the best friends that I could ever ask for.
I want to jump in. I do think that's a lot of people have brought up different things. I think for some people, FUV's about finding working your hardest and grinding and trying to make be the best sports broadcaster. Being for other people, it's about finding their place at a school, getting to know friends, and trying to be a part of a team. And that doesn't mean you can't have both. But I think it's a special thing of FUV. You get so many different ways. It can mean so many different things to different people, and you can have all these different things all in the same thing. So it's a really special thing about this program.
And what I'll say really quickly before you leave is, you're somebody that when you enter a room, everybody knows it. And it's because of the joy that you bring, the upbeat energy. And it's been a pleasure. Sometimes I'm walking into the studio at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Maybe there are other places I'd rather be. But then after quickly talking to you, you instantly are like, okay, this is going to be fun. I know that with Samantha Bohr here, this is going to be an entertaining 3-hour show. So I appreciate you for always providing that that joyous manner.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. And shout out Bobby. Also, shout out my mom and dad. I love you. And my sister, I love you. Bye.
Always about the shout outs. And coming in next is Thomas Aiello, one of those guys that you talk about going way back. You remember the first time you met Thomas. I'll tell you that. That is always something that comes with him. Yeah, it's that one.
I put on the wrong headset. This about sums it up.
You might need to move a little to try to get you in the video frame.
See, I'm all my heart. This the first time ever being at FUV. I'm nervous.
Wow,
my heart's going like
you're
this.
Telling me
my heart's going like this.
You're telling me Stonehill you were nervous. On that radio
please,
call.
Please come on. The Stonehill game. No, I think that not Stonehill. The UNH game. Because that was the first game
That was the first game you called?
And we did that game together.
Maybe, but it was
No, Stonehill was the Konchowski Classic.
Okay.
Which was fun. I do have to say.
We did that UNH game together.
Yes.
We did a lot of games together.
We did. It was fun. The Joe's game, the first A10 win of the year. We did. I'm trying to think of the other ones we did. I know Dayton I did with Sam. And you and I went up to Bonaventure, and I was a nervous wreck on the plane.
So you're telling me this is you're more nervous for this than anything?
Yeah, because
he was more nervous on the plane. He was crying on the plane.
All right, I wasn't crying on the plane. I was sweating on the plane.
Sweating out of your eyes.
We hit turbulence, and Coach Paulson, God bless him, I saw his head in front of me go like this, just go forward, like almost hit the chair in front of him, like, oh, we are going to die. And if I'm going to die, I guess I'm ready to go right now. It was scary.
It's a good team to go out with, but luckily that didn't happen. And great year. Yeah. And I know you did a great job on the call this year.
That.
I know me and Ryan can both say that you killed a lot of those calls.
We were all cooking.
Some great calls, some great games. Mm-hmm. Obviously that last game against Dayton as well. You killed that one, and it was a pleasure to be able to broadcast with you as well.
I appreciate that, and I'd be lying to you guys if nothing this year I learned or did was the easy way. It was a grind, but you know what? This is what you live for, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything else to have it go a different way. I mean, it was just so much fun to go to all these different places and meet all these different people and do all these games with you guys. I mean, it was amazing. And I remember my first statement in FUV in training was, "I'm going to take Mike Breen's job one day."
Yeah,
I said that in front of the
still remember
training
that.
group, and everyone looked at me as if I have 5 heads. I'm like, well, yeah, so sorry. But look, it was, man, it was so much fun. And the game that I think was my favorite, though, is the St. Louis game. That was so much fun.
That was unbelievable.
The environment going into that game. Now, you and I, Ryan, were arguing which game was more important. This game, I had argued when Fordham played Butler in 2013. You'll remember.
Here we go.
Chris Gaston was on that team. Brad
Yes.
Stevens was in the Rose Hill Gymnasium. And that was a really, really, I mean, that environment was like that St. Louis game. It was, everyone wore the white T-shirts. It was loud. That fourth section was open.
Were you at that game?
I was at that game. I was a train wreck watching it because there was points where Fordham had the lead. I'm like, oh my God, the 7-win Rams can beat Butler. But for me to come full circle this year and do the games, and now I'm coming back in the fall. I have my tickets for the fall. I'm just
shocker.
Yeah, right. I know. I got 4 of them too, so I'm going to be bringing some people. I'm gonna try and reel them in, but I'm never gonna leave Fordham. I'm gonna leave FUV who I am, and that's what's really important. And we're gonna leave as who we are. But this is something we're gonna remember forever. I mean, this season for basketball in particular is the thing that's gonna bond us together. So thank you guys so much for putting up with me and for making this year so much fun. And I wouldn't trade it in to have it go any other way.
You're welcome, and we'll always remember this year. And if things are going in the direction that it looked like they are, this was the year things changed at Fordham basketball. So 3 of us, Sam, I know that we hold immense pride in being the broadcasters when we saw that change.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that and wouldn't have wanted to go on that ride with anybody else.
So thank you, Thomas, for joining us. And now we have Danny Scott coming in. A lot of relatives called for Mr. Danny Scott today. We'll see how he does here with the not crying and the emotion, but what's up?
Hey, guys. Before I get into anything, I just want to really thank the both of you. Mike, 4 years of club baseball, being with you. And if it wasn't for Ryan, my WFUV career wouldn't exist. Ryan got me my first opportunity to go on College Gridiron, and since then it's been one hell of a ride. I can't thank you guys enough for the Super Bowl, getting that opportunity going with the 2 of you and Andrew and Sam, who we'll hear from in a second. But the grind of that show, the long nights that all 3 of us have spent doing stuff, just talking about FUV stuff. It's been a wild ride. You know, I got kind of screwed over by COVID at the beginning. Wasn't here my entire sophomore year. Come back and really, really grinded. And if it wasn't for, like I said, Ryan in particular, I would not be in the position where I am today.
Well, Danny, I will say that was one of the best quote-unquote investments that I've made. And seeing your dedication this last year, I think about the decision you made to, you know, from California, how often can you go home? You made the decision to not go to Thanksgiving, to call the football game versus UNH in the playoffs, because that's how important WFUV is to you. And that's something I've never forgotten. Your dedication is unbelievable, and I'm so proud to call you a colleague, but also along the way, one of my best friends.
I can't struggling right now. I really appreciate it, Ryan. You know, Fordham football this year was unbelievable. Getting to watch that from behind a mic was very special. Getting to travel and talk with Andrew just on air, getting to travel with you, the shenanigans in the hotel room, senior toast, if you know, you know. But it was a very, very special 4 years here. I guess really 2 years of a lot of grind and getting to where I am today and hopefully breaking into this industry.
And I think the special thing about FUV is, I've said this multiple times, but COVID, I think for a lot of people, was a dent in what could have been an amazing 4 years with FUV. And while it was an amazing 4 years, maybe for everyone who wasn't working with FUV during those times with COVID when we were remote, but there was still a lot that happened in the past 2 years and so many great experiences. I think for a lot of people, they would still take those 2 years over anything else, or 3 years or 4 years if you were lucky enough to be on the ship before and during COVID. So I think that says a lot about this program, that it can offer you more in 1 year than maybe any other program can offer you in 4.
And before I turn over to Andrew Gallat, I just want to thank a few people. I know Keenan and Tyler have already thanked me, but thanks to both of them. Tyler holding it down on Gridiron for the past couple years has been awesome. And I just want to say to anyone that's thinking about joining FUV, even has a thought, please come do it, because if you really grind, you're going to get what you put into it. And we've gotten to do some amazing things, going to the Super Bowl, going to the Yogi Berra movie premiere that I believe was released yesterday,
Right.
Going to traveling to different sports games, getting to go to a bunch of different states and doing all that. It's been an awesome, awesome time, and I wouldn't trade the experience that I got, because in 1 year at FUV, you can do potentially more than what you'll get to do in your entire career. And it's been a massive blessing becoming your guys' friends and being able to work alongside you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, the experiences you get are one thing, but the relationships that you know will last a lifetime means something else. So I echo everything that you just said.
Love you both.
Love you too,
Love
Danny.
you, man.
So now we have Andrew Gallat, the voice of Fordham football this season. Another guy who you think back to freshman year, you could always tell he had a very bright future at this place. So glad to, get a chance to talk to you right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. The last few minutes, we've all been on, 90.7 for quite some time. I can't believe this is like the last few minutes. I mean, first, thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys, the captaining this ship. I think a lot of people talk about last year and how great Alex was and how great Nick DeLuca was. And, I think everyone kind of, how are we going to move to this next year? And what you guys did, captaining the ship, and what we did in football, what you guys did in basketball, I mean, it's something that I think we took our productions, I think we took everything to a next level, which I think a lot of people would really think that's crazy to think about just because how good those guys are. But to what we were able to do, like for football, I was like, wow, these productions, I'm definitely not as good as Nick DeLuca. But besides play-by-play, I think that the productions were like better, which is just crazy to think of that. And that's all because of you guys and Bobby behind the scenes and everyone, that's helped. I mean, just a few thank yous. I mean, to you two, to Sam, to Danny, who you talked about that Thanksgiving game. I remember when he texted me, he's like, I'm doing the game. I'm like, wow. I was like this. And to see how he grew from, the Monmouth game all the way to the end, it was just, it's amazing. You think about, the car rides with Joe DeBerry. Shout out to him.
Huge shout out to Joe.
I mean, to think what he does, he just drives kids, to do these games. Obviously, he's doing it for his job too, but the selflessness of so many people here at WFUV Fordham Athletics. I mean, to think about, everyone talks about the people, and that's what I always remember. The road trips at the Super Bowl. Like, I was so excited, like, when Danny's bringing in all the guests and, we get Ian Rappaport. Oh, my God, we got Ian Rappaport. Or, for me personally, like, I got to meet Drew Brees, like, my childhood idol. Like, dreams come true at WFUV. I think a lot of people say, like, you put in, what you get out of it is really kind of the main thing. And that's, for me, that's been the biggest thing to cover the Mets, which is my childhood team, to, cover Knicks games and see, New York alive. I mean, it's crazy just, what 4 years from COVID all the way to now. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think back to even this summer, because we went into the year, we had a lot of ground to make up, right? Nobody had called a football play-by-play. You had the experience being the color guy last year, but you had to take a huge step to become the play-by-play guy. We had 0 people who'd ever produced a football game, let alone any other sport. So we were hitting the ground running, and I think because of that, it allowed us to push ourselves a little bit harder. But I remember meeting with you in the summer, doing a demo. We had hours-long pre-production. Before that first game, we all came to the studio, right, to get acclimated with everything one last time. So I think having that chip on the shoulder with how high the bar was last year, with some of the names you mentioned, it put us in a position to where we really made the most of it. And you think back to that team, number 2 FCS offense in the country, quarterback of that team.
Second best offense in history.
Right. Unbelievable. And the quarterback of that team just signed a contract with the Washington Commanders.
You broke the news.
I did break the news. Shout out Tim for giving me the scoop. But it's stuff like that I think really we're going to look back on and just remember so fondly about our time at WFUV.
And I will say this about you, Andrew, in particular. I think, the list of people who get to call games for Fordham football on 90.7 FM, it's not a long list. And maybe it's long just because Fordham football has been going for around 100 years or whatever it is. But it's still really not that long of a list. And you have your name on that list. And not only were you able to do a good job? You did a terrific job all year for us, and you really kept the broadcast going. The producers are a big part of it, but the play-by-play has got to get you in and out all game long. So you did a terrific job with that. You should be really proud of it.
No, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
And as we wrap here, any last thoughts, last things you want to say?
I don't know. I'm like at a loss for words.
Yeah, I
right
know.
now. I mean, I just, unforgettable 4 years. From Lincoln, Nebraska to Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's just it's crazy, and just all the people that go into it. I mean,
90,000 fans.
90,000
Nebraska. Who could forget that? So thank you, Andrew, for joining us. 10 minutes left in the show, Mike. Wow.
10 minutes. 10 minutes for the rest of your life.
This is hard to do. Is Sam and Andrew embrace and a nice hug right there.
That's on the green right there. Stay tuned next week. It doesn't end with this show, all right?
Exactly. We got one more show. We got one more segment.
That's when I'll cry. You want to know when I'll cry?
At
That's
the end of
when-
On the Green.
Yes.
That's when I'm crying.
Oh, man. So Sam joining us right now, the Marty Glickman Award winner of this year, has done so much at the station. What's up?
Guys, listen, I had something I wrote, and I thought, hey, I could stick to that. But hearing everybody else, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, I can't stick to any script. I got to speak from the heart. I mean, listen, a lot of people mention all the amazing things we've been able to do. Fordham basketball, Fordham football, Super Bowl, baseball Hall of Fame ceremony, Heisman Trophy ceremony. You go down the list, all the incredible things. But to me, and the one thing I wanted to highlight was all the moments in between those big events with you guys, and all the moments with Danny and Andrew and all the seniors here. And, that to me is what I remember from WFUV. It's those moments. It's editing that Super Bowl show for hours and hours and hours on end, trying to get it out at night. It's all those road trips with basketball and all the little moments in between calling the games where we're just having fun and enjoying our time around each other. That stuff is what you carry away, and that stuff is what makes WFUV so special for all these generations. And listening to E-Man and Nick calling a little earlier really made me emotional, because those guys were the ones that helped really pave the way for us. And Andrew mentioned it. You two you both should be incredibly, incredibly proud for the way that the station has continued the legacy. Continuing the legacy at WFUV is a daunting thing when you look at the history. You guys and all of us, all our seniors, we've done it. And I think we can look back on it and say that we've done it. And I think that's something I know I'm incredibly proud of, and I know you guys should be too.
Incredibly proud, and I'll tell you a funny story too. While you're
lighten the mood a little, Brian.
One that you're almost crying. You're making me almost cry. So I feel like we need to save both of ourselves.
There we go.
Right now. And the story that goes along with what you're saying that I remember is Cooperstown Hall of Fame. To interview Doc Gooden, we had to go to random people on the street wearing Mets jerseys, see if they would say something positive. The stuff like that, the unexpected things that pop up, and then we get a few minutes with him. Those are the things I'll always remember, because other stuff can be scripted and you know when you're going to call a game how it's going to go, but unexpected moments like that where I think we grew closer together. Obviously this year I know me and you have become incredibly close, and I wouldn't trade a second of it for anything else, and it's been really special to just work with you along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always get to work with your best friends or people that you're really close with, and we've had the opportunity to do that here. And I think that's something that you can say about WFUV through all the generations. It feels like every year, obviously that's why people get emotional on this senior show, is because of how important the people are, the relationships are. And we've also had some pretty freaking cool moments, pretty awesome moments. I mean, Fordham basketball had an unbelievable season, and sharing those moments with you guys, the shirtless herd and the student section embracing that team and everything that went on at the Barclays Center as well in the A-10 tournament. I don't know about you guys, but those moments are etched in my mind forever, and those things I'll never forget as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about the work you were able to do this year for us, the job you did on air. I think Marty Glickman's a testament to all the hard work you put in to be a play-by-play broadcaster. So,
but also there's a lot not on air, and that's how you know that you're somebody that really cares about the station, whether it's staying behind that St. Louis game that's been referenced a few times to produce it, because somebody has to be the one that stays back. And you always showed that willingness to do whatever was needed for the station. It wasn't just about making yourself a better broadcaster. It was about WFUV as a whole, and that was something that it really stood out to me. Don't think it didn't go unnoticed. It did, and the dedication you showed was unbelievable.
Thank you, Ryan. I mean, that means a lot, and it's a testament to how much I love the station. And I know you guys did the exact same thing and sacrificed a lot and, put in that work, all the hours that went into it. I know firsthand, seeing how much work Ryan and you and Mike had to do as sports manager and assistant. You guys did it, and we all did it because we love WFUV and we love this station, and that's the best way to put it.
Yep. Thank you, Sam. We really appreciate it. And 5 minutes coming up on the show. That's scary. Who knows what's going to happen these next 5 minutes? It's daunting. It's unbelievable. But Mike, I'll give the floor to you on just your thoughts right now. As we have less than 5 minutes to go.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I'm going to be brief. And I think the one takeaway I have is it's Super Bowl show. It's Arizona, and we get Kevin Harlan for the interview. And Kevin Harlan comes over the table, and he's amazing. He's so gracious. He's affordable. He doesn't rush us. He gives us great answers. And the last thing he told us, I remember this forever, is that the stuff you're going to miss is not the end goal. It's not what you get. It's the process. It's setting up the equipment. It's, our charter got canceled for men's basketball. We got to fly home by commercial now, and we got to rush through the airport. It's running in between the hallways at Barclays Center trying to get sound from a bench. It's all the little things. It's making a board. It's, oh my God, what are we going to adjust this if, with what's going on with the football broadcast, we need to make an adjustment here. It's those things. It's that work that is really special about WFUV. And it's those small things that I'm really going to miss. And I think that's where the special moments were carved out. You can say so much about the places we're able to go. You can say so much about the different cities, about the different trips, about the different events you're able to go to. But it was all the small things that went into those that what makes FUV special. And that's personally what I'll miss the most.
And Mike, what makes it even more special for me is being able to do it with you along the way. We grew up pretty close to each other, didn't know each other, had a class freshman year, and really bonded over that. And I know the people that I've met in my life that I'll take with me the rest of time. A lot of it was through you and through WFUV. So I thank you for being there every step of the way with me.
And listen, same thing to you as always. I mean, as sports manager, I think, Andrew kind of touched on it. There was, a point of, coming out of COVID where we weren't sure what direction the station was going to come. And I think you took every expectations and exceeded to a limit that I don't think anyone was really going to expect. And I think you did a phenomenal job as sports manager. And you've really created a model for everyone that's seen you as sports manager to follow suit and to try to be the hardest worker and contribute the most possible to FUV. So I thank you for that, and I know I speak for everyone in thanking you for that.
Yeah, and I guess with 2 minutes here, and I'll wrap quickly, the reasons all that's able to happen is because of everybody else that helped from top to bottom, all 55-plus people at this station. There's a reason, to be sports manager of the station meant everything to me, just to work at WFUV. This has been by far the best decision of my life, the best 40 years, memories I will cherish forever, and people I love, and people that I would do anything for. So just to be here these last 4 years with what the legacy is of FUV, it's meant everything to me. I've poured my heart and soul out into this place, and I do it again every step of the way. This has meant just so much to me, and I can't even put it into words, how many people to thank from all the other sports managers. Charlie, E-Man, Alex gave me so much advice. Unbelievable people, unbelievable talents that are going to do so much. And it's hard to do this. And, this whole time I've been wondering for this wrap, am I going to cry? Am I going to cry? Honestly, I think I got most of the tears out already. And it's just so late and I'm so tired that it's bailing me out just a bit. Because inside, I promise you, I am feeling it. But also shout out to, Chuck and Rich and George and everybody who helped get us on the air. And once again, being a part of WFUV has meant the world to me. And I cherish all the memories. We've hit on pretty much all of them. And just to be able to do all this kind of stuff in 1 year, interview, Patrick Mahomes, then call a basketball game, then be in the locker room for a Yankees game. My shoes still, I swear, I still think they have champagne marks from being in that locker room after they beat the Cleveland Guardians to advance to the ALCS. But, we're wrapping up here. I think that's going to just about do it. Obviously, a very special thanks to Bobby Chaffrini. He deserves it all. From Ryan Gregoire, one final time, One on One is a production of WFUV Sports. Good night, everybody. I love you all.